Eddie, you can do better than this. You know that there's more to writing a good paragraph than just putting together a few related sentences. I think you'd better read that chapter again on paragraphs in your text and then rewrite this composition.
So rewrite it, Eddie. I'm sure Mrs. Marshall covered how to write paragraphs in class.
Guess I wasn't paying much attention when she did. I'm not sure what to do.
Well, here, look at what she says.
I know paragraphs weak in unity, transitions poor, but I still don't know what to do.
Would you like a little help?
If you got the time, okay.
Well, I could tell you what's wrong. But wait a minute. Let me just read the first paragraph to you.
What are you doing?
I'm looking for a photograph of Dad. There it is. This'll help you picture the sentences.
Okay, go ahead.
Camping with Dad. I've wanted to go camping with Dad as long as I can remember.
That's the topic sentence.
My older brother, Stan, was never interested in camping trips. Dad's business is sporting goods, so he has all the equipment needed for camping. During the past few years, Dad's sporting goods business kept him too busy to go. Before that, Dad usually went in late fall when I was in school and couldn't go along. Even before I started school, I wanted to go camping, but then I was too young. But last year, when Dad hired another salesman, he was able to take time off in the summer and take me camping. That's how I finally got to go camping with Dad.
It's kind of mixed up, isn't it?
You know why? Because sentences in a paragraph need a logical order. And if they don't have it, they just don't make good sense.
What are you doing?
I'm going to put time to work in your paragraph.
Time?
That's right. Remember your topic sentence? I've wanted to go on a camping trip with Dad as long as I can remember. Well, here you are over a period of time as long as you can remember. Now, I'm going to rearrange the sentences of your paragraph and maybe drop a few and use time to hold them all together. Even before I started school, I wanted to go camping, but then I was too young. Then, when I was old enough, Dad usually went in late fall when I was in school and couldn't go along. During the past few years, his sporting goods business has kept him too busy to go. But last year, when Dad hired another salesman, he was able to take time off in the summer and take me camping. That was how I finally got to go camping with Dad. Now, do you see how time held those sentences together?
I think so.
There was a certain order in the way the sentences developed.
I got a little older in each sentence.
That's right. Time gave unity to the paragraph, and unity is what we're after. Of course, you don't always want to use time for unity. Let's try something else. Now, in this paragraph, you could try using space.
Do you mean like outer space?
No, I mean the location of the things you're writing about in your paragraph. For instance, you could write about the nearest things first and the farthest things last.
Okay, I'll try it. Now, here's the topic sentence. We chose the ideal spot for camping. Now, what did the place look like?
Here, take a look at that.
Oh, thanks. It was a clearing with trees all around.
Wait a minute, Eddie. These words aren't doing anything for you. They should really give a clear picture of the scene.
Well, I'll try it again. It was a broad, open area of soft grass and wild flowers. All around were high trees, part of a dense forest.
That's fine. Now go ahead and don't forget to keep space in mind.
The nearby trees would provide us with all the wood we needed for our campfire. A short distance away, A clear stream flowed through the forest. We hoped its cold waters would be filled with trout. How's that for unifying a paragraph with space?
Pretty good. Do you think you could do as well using contrast?
You mean showing how two things are different?
That's right. Here's your topic sentence. Getting up in the morning at camp is quite different from getting up at home. Now you take it from there.
Okay. At home, it's the ring of the alarm clock that jars you awake. While at camp, your alarm clock is the sun, shining through the trees and the sound of birds chirping. The soft cotton rug you step onto at home becomes in camp a soft carpet of grass, wet with dew. At home, you have all the water you need, hot and cold. At camp, you have all the water you need, too, but it all seems to come from the North Pole.
It's pretty good. But let's finish the contrast idea. Differences such as these make camping... You go ahead and take it.
Make camping an exciting change from your usual way of life. That was pretty good, huh, Stan?
That's pretty good, Eddie, yeah. You see, there are actually many ways to unify a paragraph, but you've got to pick out the one way which works out best for each of your paragraphs and gives it some variety, too.
Thanks, Stan. Could I use the desk?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. But wait a minute. Mrs. Marshall criticized unity, but what about transitions?
Oh, that's right, transitions. You mean between paragraphs?
That's right. You see, a good transition helps your reader follow you smoothly from one paragraph to the next. You want him to keep track of the big idea that you're trying to develop, and you want to hold his interest, too.
I guess so.
Here, let me see if I can find an example. Here's the ending of one of your paragraphs. So at last the trout was in our net. Now here's the first sentence of the next paragraph. Cooking outdoors is one of the joys of camping. You see, there's no clear relationship between the two paragraphs.
But there should be. They're both about trout. Catching trout and cooking trout, see?
Right. But why not let the reader know it, too? Let's use the word trout to carry the reader smoothly from one paragraph to the next. Like this. So at last the trout was in our net. We cooked the trout over an open fire.
Or how about, after the trout was caught, we looked forward to cooking it?
That's fine, too. Repeating key words or phrases or ideas is just one way of going smoothly from one paragraph to another. But you can't always repeat something, and sometimes you just don't want to.
So what do you do?
Ever heard this? Meanwhile, back at the ranch...
Sure.
Well, meanwhile is a word that can give you a transition from one paragraph to the next. There are lots of words and phrases like that. On the other hand, however, therefore...
Consequently, in a like manner, and so.
That's right, you've got the idea.
I'm going to reread the chapter Mrs. Marshall told me to. But I think I'll be ready to rewrite.
Well, if you remember to develop your paragraphs logically...
I will now.
And if you remember to use transitions for going smoothly from one paragraph to another, then you're on your way.
And I don't want to forget time, space, or contrast.
And there are many other Unity devices that are just as good. You'll probably find them all in your English book.
Oh, sure.
You pay a little better attention in class and you won't have all that trouble.
You've got a point there.
Now you get to work. And remember, writing good paragraphs isn't easy. It takes time and thought. But good paragraphs help you communicate with your reader. And after all, isn't that the purpose in writing?
That's what Mrs. Marshall says. Thanks, Stan. I guess I'll do all right now.